Hey guys, OG Albino here, bringing you guys my IBL Season 6 Week 5 match against Kohanks and his Reno Raikou. Very scary team, but I think we do have a pretty solid team to potentially combat what he wants to bring. If you haven't seen our team builder, I definitely would recommend going checking that out. It should be in the description below. If not, it'll be in our IBL playlist on our channel. But just a quick overview of what we brought. We brought a Spikes 3 attacks Metronome Greninja, Naya Pop-Up Berry 4 attacks Mamoswine, Stealth Rocks 3 attacks special, Iapapa Berry, Archeops, a Tangaberry, Psychic Ice Beam, Will-O-Wisp, Soft Boiled Mew, a Swords Dance, Bullet Punch, U-Turn, Roost, Scizor, and a Dragonium Z, Dual Stabs, Poison Jab, Dragon Dance, Komodo right here. So right off the bat, biggest threats to me are definitely going to be the Tornti and the Terrakion. I don't switch into those very well at all. Necrozma can also be very scary, and Muck, if I let it get up too many curses, can actually do me pretty dirty. So I do have to play around that correctly for sure. I am very glad to see no Mega Garchomp though. I'm not 100% surprised that it didn't come, being that I don't think its speed tier was best versus me, but it did kind of claim versus my fat, so I am glad to not see that thing, because I don't really have great defensive counterplay to that monster. But yeah, right off the bat, I am going to elect to lead off with my Greninja, just simply because of the fact that I can potentially get up spikes, you know, flinch things down with Dark Pulse or Surf, throw some big hits, and put some early pressure on his team with our Metronome and stuff like that. Because even the Milotic, after a couple of Dark Pulses, is not really going to want to take Surfs, and then the Muck doesn't take it phenomenally if he is like the berry set. If he's AV, that's totally fine, because that means that we can just slowly chip him out, as he is going to lead off with the Fortress. This one I'm kind of wishing I had Taunt, because I could, you know, potentially scare him and prevent hazards, but he is going to switch out regardless. He's going to go into the Milotic, as we do go for Dark Pulse, which is great, because that means we can kind of start stacking our Metronome boost right here, as he does prove to be Flame Orb, and I can kind of just stay in and potentially wear this thing down right here. As you're going to see, that Metronome is going to make the Dark Pulse do way more, as he is going to go for the Recover, get back up pretty full though, but I can kind of just keep whittling this thing down, scaring it like this. As he is going to, the Burn Chip is actually definitely going to help me a bunch here if he is left over to be a little bit more scary. As right here, he's going to pull the switch out into Muck, probably realizing that I am Metronome and knowing that I am probably going to go for another Dark Pulse right here, as I do, and this does like 0. This shows me that he is 100% AV, because even though it is resisted in Muck Super Spadef, of, you know, a 3 times Metronome boosted Dark Pulse should definitely do more than that to a Mamoswine. As right here, he is going to go for the Fire Punch, expecting my Scizor to come in, so good play on his end. I went for a more middle round play into my Mamoswine. Thankfully, he did not burn me, which is, again, very nice, as he is going to pull the switch out into his Fortress, which is unfortunate, because I am going to be able to throw out this Earthquake, but I'm not going to be able to 2-hit KO him in any universe, because I am Jolly, and I'm not even max attack. I have, you know, a considerable amount in Spadef right here, about 36 EVs. So, unfortunately, I'm going to be forced out. I can't really, you know, do much to this thing, other than slowly chip it down, as I do go into my Greninja in case he wants to go for the Gyro Ball, as he does end up going for the Toxic Spikes, which is, again, super unfortunate, because I don't have a Grounded Poison on my team, and I didn't bring any removal. So that's, you know, something I'm going to have to look forward to in the future on how I can really, you know, stop that and, you know, stop people from potentially beating me down that way. As right here, he is going to go into the Milotic again. I go for the Surf, expecting the Muck to potentially come in, just to get a little bit more chip on that thing, but he does make a good middle ground play into the Milotic right here, as I'm just going to elect to get up a Spike. I know I can't get rid of his hazards, so potentially I can pressure him with my own right here, as he is going to go for the Scald. I know it's not going to do a million. I can kind of just pray for no burn, and that would actually be amazing, because then we could still potentially chip this thing down, beat it 1v1, but he does get the burn, which is, again, super unfortunate, because now we're probably not going to be able to beat his fat down 1v1. We don't really have the staying power to chip them down in time. But right here, I am going to pull switch out into my Mew. I want to make sure I'm just regular poisoned and not toxic poisoned at the very least. I figure that's, you know, something super nice to potentially have, as he does go for the Recover right here, getting up a fair chunk of health. I could have potentially went for another Spike right there, which might have been my play, knowing that he was going to recover. But again, not too big of a deal, as I do just get in my Mew right here, as I believe I throw off a Psychic, just kind of gauging damage to chip this thing down a tiny bit, as it doesn't do very much just because of Milotic's, you know, stupid natural Spadef bulk right there. But I am going to take not too much from the Scald, but the poison is going to start kind of adding up right here. you know, chipping us down, really helping this Mylog be as 1v1. So right here, I am going to go for a soft boil, get back up to a decent amount of health, as I believe he does go for a recover himself on this turn. I want to say, yeah, he does. Just to make sure he's staying at the right amount of health, because if I psychic and got a suspended death dropped right there, that was actually pretty potentially bad for him. But yeah, I am going to get up, you know, to full as he does the same thing. We both take a tiny bit of chip from our respective status conditions. So they go for the Will-O-Wisp, predicting the Muck to want to come in, but unfortunately he does not go to. To be fair, he didn't really have a huge reason not to. But my mode of thinking is if I'm like Calm Mind or if I'm Nasty Plot or something like that, because I was originally Nasty Plot in this build, I feel like it did have a pretty solid matchup. If I'm like Nasty Plot and he wants to go into the Muck before I can get too boosted up, he doesn't want to let this you know, set up all over him, then I figured that was the best move, because I could potentially beat it 1v1 even if he is Haze. Right here, he's going to go for a Scald after I go for a little soft boiled right here. And this is looking pretty tough. This Mylog's proven to be a very, very big problem. Hopefully we can, you know, find a way to break through this monster. As right here, he is going to pull switch. He goes out into his Torn T right here, as I believe I do go for the Psychic, which is good because we are able to get a big chunk off on this Torn T, showing us that he is definitely an offensive set. Even though we're not very much, you know, invested at all, we are able to chip him down pretty nice right there. As I am going to pull switch out into my Archeops, this is, you know, my best check to this thing. If he wants to go for the Fly Z, it potentially puts us in range of our Berry. As we're going to see, that is what he's going to elect to go for right here right off the bat. Throw off a big Flyinium Z. And you're going to see, even though we are, you know, a resist to this move, we're not really a resist because we're an Archeops, and it's still going to do a huge chunk. I suppose I could have left my Mew in there to die, but I figured it still had some merit, being that the Terrakion was still there, and that was my best check to that. As unfortunately, I believe this Sky Strike put us at like 28% or something like that, if I remember calculating in battle, like what that percentage is, which is like super unfortunate because we're not going to be able to do too much to this thing at this point, as I am just going to elect to get up my Stealth Rock because I know I'm not going to do damage to like anything coming in, even if he wants to switch. You know, like I guess we could have knocked him out with Stone Edge even to defeat us if he stayed in, but there was no reason for him to do so. As right here, I am just going to kind of use my Archeops as fodder right here, as he is going to go for the recover, which is a good play. We actually got a crit on that Stone Edge, which is hilarious, and we still did about 25%. If we would have gotten a crit outside of Defeatist, that would have been much different, but unfortunately that is not the case, as we are going to be able to go for another Stone Edge right here. I'm basically just sacking off my Archeops right here, trying to let it go down, as he does, you know, finally go for the Scald and knocks out our Archeops right here. So down it goes. We do have a Spike and Stealth Rocks up right here, so hopefully that can help us in wearing down stuff like the Necro and the Milo once we get to switch out, stuff like that. As I am going to go into my Greninja right here, and I believe just kind of threaten it and try and beat it down with some Dark Pulsers right here, as he does a withdrawal, and he goes into his Terrakion, trying to catch our Dark Pulse, but this turn we are actually going to go for the Surf, expecting the Muck to want to come in, so he tried to make a very aggressive play. I assume he was probably Scarf if he's going to make that play, but we are going to be able to catch the Terrakion and knock it out, which is good and bad. It makes me really wish I sacked off Mew earlier, because at that point, at this point, we don't need Mew at all. It doesn't really check anything that we needed to check. As right here, he is going to go into the Muck. He's going to take Spikes, and then he's going to take Rocks. And he's getting slowly chipped, and being that he's AVU, that's absolutely amazing, because, you know, he's slowly getting chipped down into range of, you know, our mons and stuff like that. As I am going to go to my Mew, basically just sacking it off. He went for a hard Fire Punch again. I'm not going to risk Scizor. This is one of my better ways of winning this game, so I'm not going to, you know, risk that thing going down to a Fire Punch, especially being that he showed it. He is going to switch out, not wanting his Wand to be burned, as right here, I believe I went for a Will-O-Wisp, obviously, just to slowly chip down and whittle the rest of his team right here. As he does go into the Fortress, takes a little bit of burn chip right here, and I know this thing is not a threat to my team whatsoever offensively now. It's more so just the nuisance it provides in getting up hazards. If I had Earth Power, we could have potentially knocked him out from here, I believe, if he wasn't like Spadef. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hard Komodo. The reason I go hard Komodo is if he got up another T-Spike and we were badly poisoned, we have no really chance of breaking through his team. He can pivot around us pretty well, as he actually ends up going for the Reflect. And that actually really sucks. It's a really cool bring on his part. Actually, when I was battling this game, I had no idea that this thing got Reflect or screens in general or anything like that. So that's going to make it a little bit tough on us. I'm going to start setting up Dragon Dances. The reason I do this is because, like, if he goes for Explosion, fine. He's burned, he's not going to do that much. And Gyro Ball obviously isn't going to affect us due to the fact that we are, you know, bulletproof, and he can't really hit us with that move. As he does go for the explosion right here, he is going to go down, you know, obviously to the recoil of explosion, I guess. And our Komodo is going to take a little bit of chip and then get more poison down on it. But at this point, he goes into his Necrozma. He takes a little bit of spikes plus rocks right here. As I believe this turn, I am just going to throw off my Z. I want to use Komodo to potentially break as big of a hole as possible through his team. Because right now, my end game is definitely my Mega Scizor winning with Swords Dance. It isn't affected by the T-Spike, and there's no other hazards up. If I can put everything in a range of +2 Bullet Punch or in U-Turn, I think that's absolutely amazing if we can potentially beat it that way. So I'm going to throw out the big Devastating Drake, and even through Reflect, which is basically a -1 Devastating Drake, we are going to get a huge chunk off on this Necrozma as he tries to Moonlight in our face, which is actually great. You know, the fact that he is, you know, going to elect to, you know, get up health opposed to knock us out that turn. We can still throw off a big Outrage this next turn, I believe, and potentially do well against him right here. As we do get hurt by our poison a tiny bit, I am going to just go for the Outrage. Again, I'm trying to break through his team. He has no Fairy type at this point, and Outrage is actually my best move to hit everything. And right here, he goes for the Calm Mind. And I don't exactly understand this play. He's kind of, at this point, kind of just wasting his own Reflect turns. But again, I will take it, because we're definitely going to be able to KO this Necrozma from this range, unless he's Protect for some reason. And if he is, then he's Mono Fold on Geyser, and it's set up fodder for my Scizor. So I am just going to go for another Outrage. Komodo is going to be able to pick up another kill right here, knocking out the Necrozma, which was a big threat. So even through the Reflect, we were able to break through that monster right there, which is great. We are going to be confused right here, though, and we'll have one more hit in us as we get brought down pretty low to the Toxic Poison, and Reflect does wear off as our opponent goes into his Milotic right here and takes the Spike plus the chip, and he goes down to pretty much exactly 50%. Now, depending on the spread, we can potentially knock him out with an Outrage, so that's what I'm going to go for, but we're going to get hit ourselves in confusion. And this sucks. After the game, I did confirm he was like a max defense set, so we actually never knocked him out right there. However, I think that getting the Outrage off would have been big, because we would have at least kept him low, and we could have forced him out with our Gren, going for Dark Pulses and stuff like that, which was still in the back, and potentially beat down his team like that, because the Muck was obviously getting super chipped, being with the Spike and the rocks and stuff like that. As he is going to switch out right here, he is going to go into the Muck, as I believe I do just go for a Dark Pulse. Again, not too big of a deal. If this thing comes in, it's AV, as we see right here, because the berry doesn't pop for sure. And he is going to take, you know, next to nothing from that, but I can kind of just save my Greninja, and I believe I go into my Mew, finally sacking it off. But he makes a great play, and he goes for Pursuit. And this is a great play because of the fact, not because of like the damage, but because of the fact that I'm burned. I'm not going to really be able to chip down his team as well with my against the Milotic. It's going to, you know, make my time much more limited. I'm going to need a lot more flinches and stuff like that, but I am going to go out into my Mew. I am going to take the poison damage, go down, and then it gives me a free switch into my Mamo, though, and Mamo is terrifying for his team at this point. I can go for an Earthquake. He's definitely not going to save this thing. If he goes into the Milotic, he's definitely 2-hit KO'd from where he's at. So, you know, with this Spike in the chip, well, he potentially could. I forget actually where he was at in the with his health and stuff like that. But down goes the Muck, which is great. But the only problem is going to be this Milotic. If Milotic wasn't here, I think we won this game at this point. Or if it was just chipped down due to the Outrage, I think we would have, you know, been in a much better position. But that's Mons, it's the game we play. The reason that, you know, Outrage is so strong is because it has that drawback. But I am going to go for the Earthquake. Hopefully maybe baiting him, like, to go for Scald for some reason and, like, choking. But he is going to go for the Recover, as I am just going to be slowly chipped down from this Scald Poison right here. I mean, this Toxic Bite Poison. So that is another, you know, oversight on my part. I probably should have bought Defog, just because of the fact that my team is so susceptible to Toxic Spikes. We saw it week 1. We're seeing it this week again, where it is kind of just doing a lot of work versus us. This right here, he is going to go for, I am going to go for the Earthquake. He is going to go for the Scald right here, and he is going to be able to knock out our Mamoswine. So Mamoswine came and picked up a kill, but unfortunately that's all he could do this week. Let me find him on the layout. There he is. Cool. So down he goes. I go into my Greninja. He's at about 50%, so if I can get one flinch, game's over. If I can get one flinch, game's over. So that's obviously what I'm going to go for. I hate to play for kind of hacks and stuff like that, but that is my best play. As he does go for the Recover, And this is going to be where the pursuit play was so big on my opponent's part, because if I was at the range of health I was at before, I could beat this thing down. He couldn't recover me out, like recover stall me out, and I could potentially win with my Greninja at this point, with just spamming Dark Pulse, because we know he's not Scarf Torn. As I do go for another Dark Pulse, hoping to get another flinch. Unfortunately, I do not get it, and that's just basically going to be my play at this point, is to get Metronome boosted Scalds, Dark Pulses off, and potentially beat this thing down with a flinch or two or something. But right here, he is going to just kind of spam recover. Again, it's probably his best play at this point, and he is going to get brought down pretty low, go for the Scald. He's at about 50%, so he can take on our Scizor pretty well right here, as down goes Greninja. So unfortunately, we did not get the flinch there, and that pursuit play earlier was obviously very, very nice, being that it was able to chip us down. So right here, this is kind of best case scenario for me. I wanted to go for a potential late game Scizor sweep if I possibly could. If he's Dragon Tail over Haze for some reason, last month Scizor wins this game, I can get it to +6 and then, beat him down. But he is going to show 2 Haze right here, as I do go for the Swords Dance. Or does he go for the Recover this turn? He does go for the Recover this turn, which is fine. At this point in the game, gets a bit stally because it is last mon, and I am obviously going to do everything humanly possible to try and win this game and bring it back. But it's basically going to be me trying to boost up in front of this Milotic, and him, U-turning out, and me trying to get opportune turns to go for U-turns and, get crits and stuff like that, while he is, obviously trying to boost up. As he does go for the Scald right here. Fortunately, he does not get the burn, which is great. We will definitely take it. I am going to go for the +2 U-turn, do a big chunk. He does go for the Haze, which is unfortunate. If he would have went for, the Scald right there, that would have been great, but unfortunately not. I'm going to go for the U-turn because a crit can potentially take him out, but he is going to not get crit. He's going to go for the U-turn, and then take a little bit more burn chip. I believe I'll go for the Swords Dance right here, as I expect him to recover. He goes for the Recover, and it's kind of just an endless cycle at this point. I am going to skip ahead a little bit, just because there's no point in watching this. It goes on for a couple minutes, even though I'm at ×2 speed. That's right here, yeah. So we're going to skip ahead. See, we're still at this point. I will say I have not been burned at this point, and I think we got to a point in the battle right about here or pretty soon where he is just going to continually click Haze, because he knows that his Torn is out of range potentially of my Scizor's Bullet Punch if I'm not +2. So if I get +2, I win the game. If not, I definitely can't. And he is running pretty low in recovers. My game plan was to potentially, hopefully, beat him down by going for the Swords Dances, and stalling him out of his recovers and then winning that way, and slowly just chipping him down, while keeping in mind my Swords Dance and Boost BP. But right here, I am just going to go for the U-turns. Obviously, he's just going to spam it until he goes down. We are going to take out the Milotic, but the Torn's going to come in, and unfortunately, he is not going to be in range of our Bullet Punch. He is going to go for the Heat Wave, and our Scizor is going to go down as we lose in a very, very close 1-0 game to our opponent. So great game to them. They prepped really well. The Reflect Toxic Spike Fortress was a really, really cool bring. I really like the Reflect tech. I thought that was really cool, because our Komodo actually could have just kind of just ran through his team at that point otherwise. And the, the Milotic just kind of was a little bit too much for us to handle this game. We probably could have prepped around that thing a little bit better. If we do get a rematch, hopefully we can do so. 1-0 loss sucks. It doesn't kill us differential-wise, which is great, and we did win 3 straight before this, so season's not down the drain yet. We can still definitely come back and win next week. I believe we're playing Tone in his Miami Marlins, so hopefully we can bounce back for him. GG to Kohanks. He, again, played very well. Be sure to go check him out if you haven't done so already. And yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Later.